me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
Let's go! I'm about to go off like a weapon. Fuel to the top, gotta feel the tension. In my thoughts.
Welcome back, everybody. Hit that like, hit that subscribe, comment down below. Let me know what you think about this video. Today, we're going to be comparing Josh Allen versus Tua Tagovailoa. And I know you're going to say, well, if you're not a Tua fan, you're going to sit there and be like, oh, there's no comparison there. It's just, Josh Allen this and that, Josh Allen this and that. Well, you have to take a look and listen to really what I'm going to go over and how I can explain to you the different sides to the argument. Now, obviously, I'm a Tua fan, so I am more, and obviously, I'm a Dolphins fan, so I am much more on the side of Tua Tagovailoa. But, I can relate. Josh Allen is a really good quarterback. I'm going to dive right into it. So, when Josh Allen was first drafted, we see that his rookie year, it was very pedestrian. Actually worse than Tua's year, if you would believe that. So people wanted to really go crazy about Tua Tagovailoa on his rookie year was this. And the stats that Josh Allen had for his rookie year were 320 attempts, 169 completions, 52 completion percentage, 2,074 yards in 12 games. Whereas you have Tua, he was in 10 games, 186 completions from 290, 64 completion percentage, and 1,814 yards, 11 touchdowns, 5 interceptions to Josh Allen's 10 touchdowns and 12 interceptions. So you have to really consider, okay, we're breaking it down like this. The rookie year, Tua, obviously, with just this little amount of weapons that Josh Allen had. Josh Allen didn't have very many things when he first came in the league either on the Buffalo Bills. But Tua also had basically nothing. I think at that time it was Devontae Parker and I don't even remember. It might have been, I don't remember who it was. It was nobody, Jakeem Grant. But he had a significantly better rookie year. And the thing is that's where you start with. So Josh Allen gets a coach when he was first drafted, obviously, and the coach starts building the team. And we have to consider that. You have to consider that football is not about one player. It is about the entire team. Josh Allen starts getting one of the best offensive lines in the league. And you start seeing it where he can sit back there and just scan the field and has about 6 seconds to throw the ball. And it shows. He started getting way more passes, completions, all that stuff. So 3,089 yards, and he had 20 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. The offensive line is starting to get built. Now, what we have to consider here is that Tua's offensive line was the worst in the league. So whereas Josh Allen has 3,089 yards, Tua Tagovailoa has 26, 263, 388 completions, and he has 67 completion percentage with 2,653 yards, 16 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. So still similar in, the actual career playing, but the offensive lines are completely different. You have Josh Allen starting to get a better offensive line. The offensive line is starting to protect him more so he can scan this field. And what you still see is that the completion percentage for Tua Tagovailoa is way higher. And they're basically similar in touchdown-interception ratio. The difference, too, is that you have to consider the two different abilities. So Josh Allen's pocket presence isn't as good as Tua's. I don't care what you say. Tua knows how to step up in and around. That's why Josh Allen takes a lot of sacks, too, because he backs up. Josh Allen backs up in the pocket a lot of the time. And he backs himself into sacks. So Tua Tagovailoa, they're very, very similar when it comes to the passing game, except the completion percentage is higher for Tua and the touchdowns are higher for Josh Allen. At that time, Josh Allen was still gaining the offensive line, whereas Tua had, bottom, I think it was 28th offensive line, whereas Josh Allen was 20th, 19th. Then we go to the next year, 2022. This is his big year. This is his breakout year. He's got 4,544 yards, 37 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. This is when he had the best offensive line in the league. And you could see it because it went a downward trajectory when it came to sacks. He was taking a lot of sacks. And the thing is sacks don't tell everything. So pocket presence is a big thing for quarterbacks and for offensive linemen. If you don't know how to move in the pocket, you're going to take more sacks. And that's what ends up happening. So clearly we see less sacks taken, but that's because the offensive line is just significantly better. So the pocket presence you don't really need anymore because you have a significantly better offensive line. Now, Tua, historically worst offensive line. I think it was probably in the history. It was one of the worst offensive lines that you have. Now you have Josh Allen, that third year. When he starts, he has the significantly better offensive line. It's just way better. Sorry if it's a little different. The first one got interrupted. So this next year, obviously Josh Allen starts having a better offensive line. He starts taking less sacks, which he's still taking sacks. I mean, the thing is with Josh Allen is he stands in the pocket. So when he has a good offensive line, it makes him better because he gets to sit back there and just scan the field. Which, not saying that he's a crappy one. I'm just saying sometimes we have to really, it's the same type of thing with Jalen Hurts and with some of the other quarterbacks. Versus like Joe Burrow or Tua, where they don't have a good offensive line and they still make plays. You know, Josh Allen had a great offensive line where there were multiple times in the red zone he has like 7 seconds to throw. That doesn't happen for most people. So then we get into that fourth year, and this is when it starts going downhill. So Josh Allen gets paid. 2021, Josh Allen gets paid. Which usually what happens with these quarterbacks is you have to get rid of some people because the quarterback is asking for this astronomical amount, which has kind of screwed up a little bit the game because essentially what ends up happening is now you're relying on rookie contracts because once the quarterback gets paid, you can't really pay too many other people. Patrick Mahomes, perfect example that he's getting rid of people, but he's still playing incredible. So 2021, he gets paid. And this is when he throws his most interceptions. He takes the same amount of sacks, but throws for less yardage and basically the same amount of touchdowns, but throws more interceptions. This is where the interceptions start happening. And then, of course, the fumbles as well. So this is where it starts happening, where he has 5 fumbles that year and 15 interceptions. So he's accounted for 20 turnovers that year. 2021, it gets a little bit worse, 35 and 14 interceptions, and he has 7 fumbles. And so it's basically along the lines of once the offensive line started deteriorating, that's when he started throwing the interceptions. And then, of course, you have this year, 2023, where he has thrown 4 interceptions and 5 touchdowns, and you know he has 728 yards. The argument that you can make for Tua, so that in his fourth year, we'll see steady improvement. 2,600 yards was his 2021 year. His third year, 3,500 yards, 25 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. So in that same span of time, he had, again, not a really good offensive line in that third year. And he's surpassing what Josh Allen has done in that career time span. Again, last year he did not have a good offensive line and he did not have a run game. You have to understand that Josh Allen has always had a run game as well. He's had David Montgomery. He's had decent runners and a good offensive line. Tua has never had a good offensive line until this year, and it's showing. So you have a guy that can make more with less. Now Josh Allen is starting to throw interceptions. And that is the key here, is that Tua is steadily getting better as he gets a better offensive line. Obviously, that's just an obvious statement. But the thing is Josh Allen was not playing well when he had a bad offensive line. Tua just didn't throw the same numbers, but he still was playing well. 64 completion percentage, 67 completion percentage, 90. He was literally there. Just did not have a good offensive line. Now that he's starting to get a better offensive line, clearly we see Josh Allen 728 yards. Now Tua has 1,024 yards, 8 touchdowns, 271 completion percentage. So what we can say here is that this will be the first comparison. Tua is steadily getting better with lesser weapons around him. Now he has Tyreek Hill. He has Jalen Waddle. Of course, every quarterback needs his weapons. Joe Burrow has Jamar Chase and, whoever the 4 other receivers that he has on the team. Josh Allen has Stephon Diggs. He had Gabe Davis. He had David Montgomery. He had a great offensive line. You have weapons everywhere. He had Dawson Knox as a tight end, who has never really had a good tight end. He had Gesicki, but Gesicki couldn't block. So it made it hard to really disguise him anywhere. So when you make more with less, now we're starting to see, okay, the ceilings is when you have all the players around you that you need to become the best player that you can. Josh Allen, he had the offensive line, the receivers, the running backs. He had all of it. And it's 4,600 yards. That's the max, and 35 touchdowns. Well, Tua, we're going to see what he does this year, but if you're going to compare the two, you got to compare them on equal levels. You can't compare them on, Josh Allen had a great offensive line, receivers, all this stuff, and Tua had Devontae Parker and the worst offensive line in the league, and you compare the two. That's not a feasible comparison. You have to look at, Josh Allen when he had the best offensive line and receivers, Tua when he has a good offensive line and receivers. And we're starting to see that. You put Tua with that same thing, he's going to surpass Josh Allen. It's just a statement that you can't really take away. He's going to surpass him. He already has 1,000 yards. If he's on track this year to keep doing that, he's going to have close to 6,000 yards. That's something that Josh Allen has never done in his career. He's done it in total with rushing, but he's never done that passing. And the thing is rushing quarterbacks, they typically don't last very long. And that's the thing. If you have to keep rushing the ball, sometimes you have to also take into account that when you are running, it may also be that the anticipation that Tua has, Josh Allen doesn't have. So he's not going to be able to understand where to throw the ball so that he doesn't have to run. It's just one of those things. So we'll move on to the keys of this game. And key number 1, obviously, contain Josh Allen. If you get Josh Allen to not move out of the pocket, you will beat him. If he stays in the pocket, he's not the best pocket passer. If you can get him contained in the pocket and not allow him to run, he will not beat you. We have proved it over and over again that when you contain him and you push the pocket against him, he gets frantic. And that's when he throws interceptions. If you look last year, there were multiple interceptions in that first game that we dropped. So when you make Josh Allen frantic, that's when he starts throwing interceptions. Key number 2, I think you got to blitz him. You have to blitz Josh Allen. You have to put him on his heels. You have to send also, and that's what I think Vic Fangio is going to do. You have to send the blitz against him. You have to make sure that you have him just uncomfortable in that pocket, uncomfortable throwing wherever he's going to throw. I just spit at the camera. And the third thing that we have to do is we have to establish our dominance early. Obviously, we need to establish run game, all this stuff. That is clear as day. But we have to establish our dominance early. A-Chain, this cannot be a fluke that you had last week. This has to be a continuation. We have to establish our dominance. The thing is the teams that see around the league, this is obviously the game that they've all been waiting for. They want to see if this is a real rivalry. And we beat them last year. And this year, it's the perfect opportunity. Obviously, we're going into their house, but it is not in December. We still even play great in December. But if you take this win, you're kind of crushing a little bit the Buffalo Bill place, because then they have to come back to Miami later on in the season. So we never have to play them in the cold. Thing is if we continue our dominance like we did last week, morale is a big issue. And that is why if you put the combination of these things together, you make Josh Allen frantic and you establish your dominance, you send these blitzes, you will beat the Buffalo Bills. Again, we have to make sure that our offense does not stutter. We have to come out there firing, just beat them into the dirt so that they're not able to come back. I think we understand how to play Josh Allen at this point. We've played him plenty of times. We understand what to do. And the thing is, what we really have to consider with this team is that they don't really know us that well. They know the offense from last year, but this offense is completely different. And there's different players that they haven't accounted for, where now, on top of that, A-Chain just broke out. So now you have to figure out another person. Waddle's going to be playing, I believe. You now have all sorts of weapons that this team has to account for. And the thing is, man, if you punch them into the dirt, they're not going to be able to come back. If you start blitzing Josh Allen, he's going to get frantic. You start catching those interceptions, because he's going to throw some. He's going to throw some interceptions. That's 100% what Josh Allen does. If you give him 7 seconds to throw the ball, he will do it. So the keys to victory, man, we need to come out, establish our dominance. That's just the key here. It needs to be first drive, just punch it right in, let them know that we're going to be around for a while, because what people are seeing with our offense is you got to score. So it needs to be one of those that we score and we shut them down and start making them panic, because they're already kind of in that zone. You know, Stephon Diggs and Josh Allen, I don't know what's going on with them. You know, the whole team is not the same like it used to be. Punch them into the dirt, establish that you are the team to beat in the AFC, and let's just finally establish ourselves as a team, a contender that we haven't been for a really long time, since like the 70s. Let's establish ourselves. We are here, and this is that statement game that tells you Dolphins are the team to beat in the AFC. Comment down below. Let me know what you think about this video. Hit that like and subscribe. I appreciate it. And as always, hope you have a great rest of your day. Fins up, baby. Peace.